Hi friends, welcome to my channel Testing Talks Latest. Today I am going to explain how to take screenshots for the failed test cases using TestNG. We are going to use on-test failure method in the ITestListener for this. Subscribe my channel for the latest testing tutorials and interview questions. So during the execution, failing of the test cases can be happen, and if we take screenshots for those test cases, it will be better for debugging and make the same test cases can be passed in the next execution. So that I am going to create one test class and one listener class for capturing the screenshots. I am going to give the test class name as test case handling. And we are having setup method and test method in this class. So before method I am going to run this setup class. So we are going to import before method annotation for this, and I am going to create setup method to define WebDriver. So we'll import before method annotation, and I am going to define WebDriver, which is public as null, and we'll import WebDriver and define driver in setup. So I am going to use Selenium 4.6 for this execution, so I need not to use system.set property. So I am directly calling Chrome driver and importing the Chrome driver. I am going to use ITest context to pass the driver to listener class. So going to import ITest context. Now we are going to set the attribute of the driver for this context. So name of the driver I am giving driver, so that we can pass it to listener class. So driver setup is done. We are going to create test class. So for this I am going to use our test annotation, and I am going to give the test name as public void failed test case handling. Handle as this method name. So I am importing a test. Now we are going to handle failed test case, so that I am using driver.get to launch google.com, and compare the title of the Google website. So for that we are going to take the title using driver.get title. Next, we are using assert to fail the test case for non-matching title. The title for the Google is google.com is Google, as we know, and I am comparing with Yahoo, so that this test case will be failed, and whenever the assert fails it will throw the exception. So for the failed test case we are going to handle listener, so that I am going to create a listener class with the name handle listener. So I created a class handle listener, and importing this handle listener in this test class. So we need to import listeners. So it is showing errors. Convert from class to ITestListener. So it is looking for the ITestNG listener. So let we implement ITestListener for this handle listener. We need to import. Now I'm going to handle failure test cases, so that I'm going to import untest failure listener. I'm going to override it. So this is the listener will be as part of the ITestListener, and other listeners such as untest, untested, unsuccess. This kind of listeners are part of this ITestListener. We are going to deal those kind of listeners in other videos. In this video, we are going to deal whenever the test is failed, how to deal the screenshot. We'll deal with this test class. So that untest failure, I'm going to import ITest result and pass this through untest failure. We need to capture the driver to pass in this untest failure. So that we are going to call result.get test context and getting the attribute driver. Get attribute and name of the attribute is driver, and I am pasting this to driver and assigning this to driver. So let me import WebDriver here. Now we are going to deal taking screenshot. If driver is not equal to none, we are going to handle taking screenshot. So for this we are going to use take screenshot. This is a interface. We are going to upcast take screenshot for the driver, and we'll import our take screenshot interface. So now I am going to take it as a file. So using get screenshot as, and taking output type as file. So we are going to import file in this place, and we need to create one destination file to copy this screenshot. So that I am going to create new file. I already created a folder screenshots, so I am going to copy the new screenshot in this folder. I am going to give the name as file dot output file dot png. We can give different formats based on the date and time, so that it will be non-duplicated, it will be unique. So now for this purpose I am going to replace the files while copying. I see Google Common IO files already imported. We are not using Google Apache files. I am going to use an IO file for this. So we need to take the path for the file and destination file, and I am going to replace the file, so that I am going to use standard copy option as replace existing. Yes, I am going to copy the file. So we need to surround it with try and catch, because exception can be thrown if the file is not available. And we are going to copy the print stack trace. We can write our custom methods for this, capturing the logs. So if driver is not equal to null, we are going to write some system output message like driver is not found. Driver is null, I am going to write here. With this, our onTest failure method is completed, so that here semicolon is not needed. So now our onTest failure method in the listener is completed to capture the screenshots, and I am calling that listener class from test method. So I am going to modify the test name as test case handling, so that we can run our test and see the results. Let we run our test and see the results. Run as TestNG suite. Test started running. Browser does open. So see the title Google, hence our title we have given is Yahoo. So there is a mismatch. Failures 1. Let we see our screenshot for the failed handling under C drive. See output type file. File is the name I have given for the failed screenshot. It has taken the screenshot for the failed page. So like this we can capture screenshots, so that it will be helpful for debugging. So in the next execution we can modify wherever the failed scenarios are created, so that we can modify it and we can re-execute it to make it pass. For this purpose we are going to use taking screenshots during the execution for the failed test cases. Thanks friends, subscribe my channel for the more such video tutorials and interview questions.